Welcome into Coach and
Good, everybody. Welcome in. Our 2 hours of domination continues here on Stadium and Bally Sports Live. Welcome in to the Coach and Bro Show. For those of you who are new, welcome. We want everybody here. This is a pro wrestling show, but we don't talk about segment after segment on Monday Night Raw or Dynamite or SmackDown. We talk about the bigger topics in pro wrestling and get into kind of the business side as well, so that fans can become a little bit smarter, a little bit more educated. And if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, hit that like button on the way in. It would really help the show as well. Coming up in about 15 to 18 minutes right now. Super excited for this interview today. Chris McCumber. He's a top television executive. He worked at the USA Network with the WWE. And we've had a lot of questions about social media use and how they promote it and how you stay true to the network, whether it's ESPN or Netflix. We're going to have him on and we're going to ask him those questions to get more clarity on these deals. Super excited about that. Now, I'm the coach side of this particular program. The bro side, the greatest writer in the history of the business, and it's not close. My man who got us Chris today, Mr. Russo from russosbrand.com. Good morning, sir.
Man, I got to tell you, Coach, what a great time to have Chris on the show. I've worked with Chris in the past with the whole Nielsen situation now, with the way they have changed their business. Coach, I am being totally honest with you. As we see, a continued dip in television ratings, okay? I've said all along, man, are they going to hit the panic button when they go below 1 million viewers? But, Coach, I would say that never thinking it was going to happen. I mean, Coach, we're talking about the WWE here. This is juggernaut. Under 1 million viewers, think about that. So I would say that thinking in my mind, they'll always be around 1.3, worst case scenario. Man, under this new Nielsen system, barely over 1 million. Coach, the next show could be under 1 million viewers, USA Network. Equate that with what they're paying. Blows my mind. I never thought it would go down to that level.
When I saw the numbers from last Friday night, it's astounding to me. It really, really is. And they won't address it. They canceled all of the press conferences because now there's no direct line between Triple H and the executives, Vince, and the reporters and the legitimate websites that report these numbers and report what's going on. And between the ratings and the attendance dipping, they've got to start looking at this and addressing this, don't they?
Well, I think, Coach, if I'm reading correctly, I kept reading online yesterday that they are going to be hiring new creative people. And here was the funny thing that I was reading yesterday, Coach. They're going to start hiring new creative people in order to try to make the show more enjoyable. What? Now you want to do that?
Yeah, I saw that.
It hasn't been enjoyable in how long? Now you've decided we're going to try to make it enjoyable. Come on, Coach.
And with the optics as it is, when you hire a lot of your friends, and I love all of them, by the way. Like, I love Road Dogg. I think Road Dogg, he's always been one of my favorite people. Funny, loyal, really good heart. But he was put in front of SmackDown as the lead guy. And we know he's been boys with Triple H for years and years and years. So when that starts to crack a little bit, that's the problem. And I don't know how I would handle it. Even tough conversations I have here at the brand, I don't like. I can't imagine hiring my best friend and then having to make changes to quote put. And again, Vince, we take this with a grain of salt because dirt sheets are dirt sheets. But if it is accurate, because I've seen it in several different places, to have more creative people in the room, how do you equate more creative? That's what I'm trying to start to wonder.
Coach, the biggest problem is, and they're doing it again, we're going to hire more people to make the show enjoyable. You can't hire people, Coach, because if they haven't been in the wrestling business, they're not going to understand wrestling. So if you pull them in from the TV business, they're going to understand television. You've got to understand television and wrestling. And that's why, in my case, I was groomed. I was a wrestling fan. I was working in the WWE. I was groomed for years. That is what you need. Nobody is being groomed. And when they bring people in from the outside, Coach, you and I know how the system works. When they bring people in from the outside, what are those people doing? They're getting Michael Hayes coffee. Those people are scared to death to speak up because, you know, the Pritchards, they're going to make them feel stupid. You've got to groom people who know wrestling from the inside, and that's not what they're doing.
So for people to understand what Vince is talking about, if for them to give these people time is not something that they have. So basically, they'll bring a young kid in. Most of the time, it's a young kid who's right out of school, riding school, whatever, and they sign a 3-month tryout. And in those 3 months, they decide if they have what it takes to be a WWE writer. Well, during those 3 months, they are scared to death of everything. Imagine coming straight out of college and you're dealing with Stone Cold Steve Austin, or you're dealing with The Undertaker, and you're walking up to him and you're like, oh my God. And so Vince, I don't even know how they're supposed to even relax to be creative in that environment when they don't have anything more. I remember this kid, he was a high-level junior or child actor, and they signed him. Great kid, Vince. And he left his wife and child in LA and for the 3 months because he didn't want to move not knowing, right? So we're 6 weeks in. We go to LA, Staples Center for a show. We get done. You know how we used to go to the limousines and go to the private airfield for Vince's jet? And so we're waiting. And we're like, why are we all waiting? This kid hadn't shown up at the limos yet. And all of a sudden I get a text from him because I was like kind of his bridge. And I said, hey, man, where are you going? He writes back, tell them to leave without me. I'm staying here.
Good for him.
On my kids. Yeah. He didn't even go back. He just, whatever was in his apartment in Connecticut, he's like, you can have it. And that was the kind of pressure that these kids feel, and I'm assuming still feel to this day.
Coach, this is part of the system. This is how they protect their spots. And listen, here's a perfect example, and I'm just going to take, one of my kids. Jeremy Borash is now a top executive in the WWE. Jeremy Borash is working side by side with Triple H. He's like Triple H's right-hand man.
Okay.
When I first met Jeremy Borash, he was doing internet work. He was working social media, and I saw him, and I saw how intelligent he was. And he was a wrestling fan. So what did I do, Coach? I took him under my wing. He's in creative meetings. Now we're shooting vignettes together. And now I'm teaching him everything about the business. And look at the spot he's in now. That is not going to happen with people who are trying to protect their spots. Because if they see you as a threat, they're going to make you leave the plane without them. That's exactly what is going to happen. It's all part of the system, Coach. And listen, I know we got Chris coming on the show, and I know, quite frankly, Chris is listening right now. But that's part that the networks don't understand. They don't understand the business. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand that they're getting worked by people. And we just see this go on and on and on and on with no changes.
You know what was really nice yesterday on Off the Ropes on Sirius XM? We had TNA President Carlos Silva. And Vince, this is the second time I've had him on the show in the first 3 months. And I don't know if you've seen him do interviews or not, but his approach as an executive at TNA is so, and I told him this live on the air. I said, this is very unwrestling-like. He wants cross promotion. He wants everybody to win. He wants success for his own talent. Do you know what he did? You remember they had that big show in Long Island a month ago, 2 months ago? It was their big one, right? They had 7,623 fans in the building. How do I know that exact number? He made these little like I don't know, crystal things. Thank you for the effort, basically, I'm paraphrasing, and biggest ever 7,000. And he showed it to me yesterday on video during the interview. And he wanted to show his entire staff, workers, behind the scenes people, everybody. Thank you for the effort. Here's where we are. So then the next step is this weekend at Bound for Glory. They're hoping to break that record. So he says, I look at 90-day increments. 90, 90, 90, 90. And he goes, at the end of every 90, I'm trying to be better than we were the previous 90. And I'm sitting there listening to him. And Vince, this is what great leadership is as I'm listening to it. And I'm like, man, a lot of companies need this.
Yeah, but, Coach, again, we started talking about this a long time ago, man, as they started signing partner after partner after partner and creating more and more and more content. We made it clear you are bastardizing the product for the almighty dollar. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a very watered down, bland, boring product because you've got so many hours to fulfill on television. And we sat here, Coach, and we said, yeah, man, you're making your billions and billions and billions of dollars, but it is going to catch up with you because you're not going to be able to provide good programming.
That's an interesting thing when we look at it, and we listen to our fans who watch the show. They're incredible, the feedback. And you look at the two big networks, and there's still Peacock involved. There's still NBC, but the big ones are Netflix and ESPN. And to your point, when you sign these big deals, it would be as if the NFL signing a deal when Brady was in his prime and saying, you don't get Brady, or you don't get Peyton Manning, or whatever. They're going to expect the absolute very best. And I think already a month in, and this will be show number 2 this weekend, Crown Jewel, ESPN expects their best to be there, which is why I think last minute they added Roman Reigns to the card. Don't you think that's the reason? I mean, they added him Monday night. He's going to take on Bronson Reed. I don't know if they planned that a week ago. Yeah. I have no idea.
And Coach, I've seen that more and more and more. When you see a low number, all of a sudden the next week somebody shows up that hasn't been on for a couple of weeks, and it feels like that's what they're depending on. And that's why I'm so happy we have Chris today, because Chris can tell us, and I think that's what happens. These numbers come in, and the money, the enormous amount of money that the partners have paid, and they're like, well, wait a minute, this is not what you promised us. And you and I talk about Triple H with the pop cards. So now there's a little pushback. Now he's got the pop cards in his pocket. Let's pull that out and play it. The problem is that's going to give you a bump, maybe a week or two. Then you're going to be right back where you started, and that play is going to be run all over again, Coach.
Yeah, there's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I wonder, whenever you're doing a deal with a new partner, this is ESPN, this is new, that maybe you're so excited on both sides to say, yeah, let's get this deal to two mega companies and mega brands, that a lot of things can fall through the cracks. And I thought it was a Netflix thing, but ESPN showed how, but they're allowed to. To me, it's the issue with WWE and their YouTube and their social media, because when you're getting paid, the person paying you should hold the purse strings. They should hold the deal making, so to speak. And that is exactly what I want to talk to Chris about, is how can you put things in those deals to keep that from doing this? Because right now I'm hearing more and more people, Vince, say, I just watch clips.
Yep. And not only that, I would go one step further, Coach. They're pushing people to the clips, because think about this, Coach. And again, we've got a high-level television executive with us. On their show, they're promoting social media numbers on the show.
I agree. We're going to ask him about it next. We got to take a quick break. On the other side, you don't want to miss this interview. Chris McCumber, TV exec, joins us live. It's the Coach and Bro Show on Stadium and Bally Sports Live. All right, we continue on, and we do all of our super stickers at the breaks and then at the end of the show. So get them in, and also the Wheel of Doom coming up later today. Vince, Robert Rhodes, they need to go back to the original format: one world champ, one IC champ, one tag team champ that float both shows and have the big stars work both shows. I agree with that. Do you?
I think so. With so many programs and so many hours, I think the simplest they can make it, the better. I really do, Coach, because I'm watching these shows and I watch them every week because I have to. I'm confused. I am just confused. It's all over the place. That's the feeling I get.
Well, I think it's based off of the topic that we're talking about right now. Is they're scrambling in these meetings to say, man, we got to get enough stars to make these networks happy, and it's as simple as that. It's not complicated, and that's why we talk about it a lot because it's a big topic right now. Thank you, Robert, for the question. Hitesh, who we love, Hitesh says after Kerr movie, it's gone from Rock will probably do one match at WrestleMania 43 to he may come back a few times. He hasn't found how to adapt to his 50s in Hollywood yet. Hope he doesn't become Ric Flair in the 2000s. I don't think he's going to become Ric Flair. However, it does beg the question. We're going to talk about his movie coming up a little bit later in the show, but it feels like he's kind of in a weird place for him too, Vince.
Yeah, he's in unknown territory because, Coach, you and I both worked for him. Everything he touched turned to gold for a very long time. Now we're starting to get that wear a little bit. And I guarantee you're right, Coach. He's in a position that he's not used to being in right now.
And I don't know that he feels comfortable being in that, Vince, to be honest. One more quick one, Robert again. And Robert, you have $5, so you get a spot on the Wheel of Doom. The way they have it now, they have the wrestlers that would work only Sunday Night Heat and Shotgun Saturday working Raw and SmackDown. Nobody wants that. For anybody that remembers those names and those shows, Robert, you're right. Those were recorded shows, weekend shows, Vince, and none of the talent wanted to be on. I don't care what they said. I don't care what they said.
Absolutely. And those are the talent. Not only we're seeing on the main stage now, in the main event.
No doubt. We're back. We're back in 5 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Coach and Bro Show. We're here every single Thursday, live on Stadium, on Bally Sports Live, available in over 100 million homes every single Thursday. And the one thing that we love about doing this brand is we're not about segment by segment. We're about big picture stuff. We're about trying to educate you, entertain you at home, so you understand the wrestling business, the entertainment business a little bit more. So with that being said, I am thrilled to welcome in for the first time here on the Coach and Bro Show, Chris McCumber, TV executive. He worked at the USA Network with the WWE. Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you for the time.
Coach, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay? I bought these new AirPods.
Perfect.
Just for this show.
You sound better than Vince. Better than
Thank
Vince.
you. I have to say, hey, Vince, how are you? It's good to see you again.
How you doing, Chris?
Man,
I'm doing great. I was backstage listening to the conversation, and what struck me is that, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We were having the same conversations at USA Network about all this stuff. So it's just very interesting to engage back again with it. So thank you for having me on.
We're thrilled that you're here. And let's start right there, because Vince and I have talked ad nauseum about this, that the ESPN cuts these big deals, Netflix. When you're sitting in the room, Chris, like you have, how much is you got to give me your top stars question on the table?
It constantly was, and when we did, and actually it was a week by week thing. We would talk about what superstars we would have on Raw versus SmackDown. We would talk about storylines, things like that. In many ways, the way we approached it at USA is we treated the show more like a scripted series than a sport. Now, don't get me wrong; these are amazing athletes, and they put their lives on the line. I mean, you see how much they get hurt when they go out there. But what we would do is we realized the entire business was about creating characters. And so what we would say is, okay, it's more like a scripted series. So we had development executives in the scripted world. We paid writers to come on and help us with storyline ideas. And we would meet week by week with Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard. We would meet once a quarter, I think, with Vince and Triple H, et cetera, et cetera. And we would talk about storylines. We would talk about characters. We would ask questions about what superstars we would be getting on Raw when SmackDown went over to Fox, there was a lot of, rivalry back and forth about that. And so, because there's not many shows out there, because WWE is on 52 weeks. There's not many shows out there that can have that impact on your rating. It's 100 something hours. And so it's one of the only mechanisms that you have to dial up or dial down in order to get your ratings up and to get, to monetize it more.
Wow. So monetizing is a big, big deal. And that feeds right into my next question, because WWE, it's almost instantaneous, Chris, that they will have a clip, a short, a reel up on their YouTube page and their socials, which has over 100 million subscribers right after it happens. But yet the numbers on Netflix continue to decline. I think there's a connection there. Wouldn't that be something you would think would be addressed in the deal, that 24, 48 hours has to go by before you can repost something that's going to take away from our viewership?
Yes, certainly. And I'm sure, again, I'm not privy to the deals that ESPN or Netflix have done. What I can tell you is that in the deals that we would do, we would try to put in some barriers there. I would say windows where they could put stuff on YouTube or put stuff on, on other platforms, including the WWE network. And the reason why you do that is because when you're buying something like the WWE, or frankly, any large programming franchise like this, you're buying exclusivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we would say we're going to pay $1 billion for Raw, right? We want exclusivity to that live show in order for us to monetize it, not just with ratings, but more and more the game became affiliate revenue. So every time you pay your cable bill, a portion of that bill goes to the network. So USA would get probably $2, I think it was at the time, per cable bill. That translates into hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion in revenue. And the only way for a network like a USA or another channel to have leverage in your negotiations with the affiliates is to have something that's exclusive, like WWE Raw. And so that's what ultimately you're really paying for. Of course, ratings matter, but it's also about having exclusive live content that you can't get anywhere else. And so that's where the rub always was.
Wow.
But it feels like, Chris, the landscape we're seeing today, that content is not exclusive. And that's what we're seeing more and more of. Mm-hmm. Chris, listen, let's face it. I've written these shows. I know. Yeah, I know what it takes to write a successful show. When I saw them signing partner after partner after partner, I sat here and I said, there's not enough hours in the day to write a good show. Now what you're trying to do is now you're just trying to provide content. That's why you're seeing longer matches that don't mean anything, because we got to eat up 2 hours. We got to eat up 2.5 hours. But so now they've trained the watcher to know there's a lot of dead time on these shows. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't mean nothing. There's no story. It's not going anywhere. Let's just go see the 8-minute clip when the show is over. And my God, if I'm USA Network, if I'm Netflix, the amount of money we've spent, and now you're training your audience and you're basically saying, listen, this show isn't worth 2 or 2.5 hours of your time. Just go see the highlights. I just don't know how these partners are allowing that to happen.
Well, it also works both ways. So yes, you can make the case that if you put clips out there everywhere else and it trains people to go away from the main broadcast, that can happen, right? However, on the flip side, if the creative is really great, if you have a spectacle, if you have something big happening in the show and that's out there in the ether, all of a sudden you could supercharge the ratings back up. So it definitely works both ways. It's a little bit of a give and take.
So last week, Friday on this, so USA has kind of been the outlier in this. So it's awesome. We're talking to Chris McCumber, former top USA executive today here on Coach and Bro Show. And it feels like they stayed in it because they either feel like they need to or have to, and they kept Saturday night's main event, but they move it over to Peacock out of the NBC thing, and then USA stays in getting Friday Night SmackDown. In a situation like that, they're down to 1 million viewers now. Do you think USA maybe is second guessing taking SmackDown when they lost Raw?
Hey, listen, I can't speak for the people who are there now. What I can tell you is that when we would make decisions about whether Raw or SmackDown should stay or leave, and listen, when we had those negotiations, you start to really look at it. If we're going to pay $1 billion, is it going to be worth it? And what it comes down to is that, again, 52 weeks a year. At the time, it was 3 hours of Raw, right?
Wow.
That's well over 100 hours of programming a year. So you ask the question, how do we replace that programming? Right. And then when you amortize the cost of the programming over all those hours, I mean, there's nothing like it in television right now. When you amortize that cost over all those hours and you look at it cost per hour, it starts to make a lot more sense, because then you have to ask the question, well, we're not going to have Raw live with that rating. We're going to have to replace it with something else. And you can't replace it with hundreds of hours of original programming. You just can't. You would be paying a lot more at that point. I mean, imagine if you try to replace it with scripted programming. That costs anywhere between $3 to $5 million an episode at the least. And when you're looking at Raw and SmackDown at the time, I think it came down, cost per hour was in the hundreds of thousands. And so those are the calculations that you do, right? Because you can't lose that amount of programming without having to replace it. You're going to replace it with Law and Order SVU reruns again. I mean, you have to have something that keeps the network fresh, live, exclusive, and viable.
Listen to what Chris just said. When you see all these dirt sheet headlines with, they're falling off a cliff, from the perspective of the executive, you're comparing it to whatever else you would put there. And that means that even at $1 million, it's still way more cost effective for you, the network, than going somewhere else. That's
no, it's very fair, Coach. Very fair, because you also, you have basically a ratings base that will certainly fluctuate up and down, right? But you can go to sleep at night saying, I got a ratings base every Friday night or every Monday night, right? Whereas if you had to replace it with something else, more original programming, there's no guarantees that original programming is going to do well, right? I mean, every stab at original programming, you both are in the business, you can do all the great work you want to do, but their audience has to show up. The audience will probably show up every week with WWE.
Chris, I want to ask you this, and I'm only asking you this because when I was a television writer and I went to WCW, the way my deal was structured was, Vince, the more people that watch the show, the more money you're going to get paid. So there was an incentive. I could not phone it in. The more people that watched the show, the more money I was getting paid. Now, Chris, you've said this several times during the interview. The WWE and that contract in 52 weeks out of the year is a different animal. This isn't like you signing a series for, 6 or 8 weeks and then, 3 weeks in, this is a bomb and we're killing it. You can't do that here. And you and I kind of had these conversations. Why wouldn't a network look at that kind of a deal with the WWE? Look, it's 52 weeks. The number of viewers we do, we're on a scale. The more money you're going to make. Because, Chris, if you don't have something like that in place, we're at the point we're at now. We're just fulfilling the contract. We're just giving you content. It doesn't matter whether that content is good, bad, or indifferent. Coach and I say this all the time. Every time we get to the WWE programming and say, my God, last night's show sucked, Coach and I will look at each other and say, bro, the check has been cashed. They could care less. They're getting the same amount of money whether 1 million people watch that show or 10 million. So what is their incentive to get that rating up if they're getting paid the same amount of money?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, you can look at it through that prism for sure. I'll push back and say I think that's much more of a skeptical perspective. Having worked with them and knowing who they are, I don't believe that they go in every day and we're just going to phone it in and we have the check. I think they really do put their everything on the line in order to try to create the best creative possible. Because if the creative isn't good, the rest of their business suffers as well, right? It's live gate, it's all of their, all of the ancillary content around it, it's all of their merchandise, et cetera, et cetera. And so I truly believe that they want to create the best stuff possible. I think there is an argument to be made that there may be too much content out there.
Let me jump in real quick. Chris, could you stay in another segment?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. We got to take a quick commercial break. Coming up on the other side, I want to start asking Chris, how do they move forward together cohesively? Because they've got to do it. What a great conversation. Great to have him. So Chris will cover more on the other side, only halfway home. Coach and Bro Show here live on Stadium and Amazon Prime. Come on back. All right, we continue on here on our YouTube page. We'll get to the super stickers a little bit later. We only have 2.5 minutes here, Chris. I would love a story from you on when you were in the prime of this situation and you're dealing with. What was some of the most enjoyable things that came out of you working so closely with the WWE?
You know, I have to say, working with them was probably one of the best professional experiences I've had, because it is, again, rare that you find a show where, you know, you get the ratings on Monday and then on Tuesday you can call up and start talking about, okay, what can we do to make it better the next week? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's rare, because you can't do that with a scripted show, or you know, it takes much longer as far as preparation goes. I would say, listen, always the WrestleMania experiences were amazing, but I will say one of the best. They were always such great partners with us. I still remember we were promoting the show Psych with James Roday and Dule Hill.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
And yeah, I do too. And Vince and Kevin and all this said, we're going to blow it out for you guys. We're going to do live segments. James was a huge WWE fan. Dule had never heard of the WWE, but he wasn't, you know, but they wanted to do it together. And then we got a call the night before that James had appendicitis and couldn't make Raw live. And so I flew in to help Dule, because he had never worked with WWE before. And I will tell you, they rolled out the red carpet. They made Dule feel really comfortable. All live segments. He was in the ring. He was blowing up pyro. And it's just, that to me was a microcosm of good partnership, because that's what it is. You talked to Coach in the last segment. What can they do to come together? I think an ESPN and a Netflix and a USA, when you partner together with the WWE on the creative, on the cross promotion, on lifting both businesses up, you can definitely move the needle and win. And they are fantastic partners. If you ask them to be all in, they're all in.
No, I'd love to hear that. All right, we're going to come back and we're going to continue on with this discussion. If you guys have any questions in the chat and they're good, I'll have producer man look for a couple there as well. If you have any questions for Chris, we would love to do that. So another segment. I can't believe it's like overtime, Vince. I'm super excited for this.
It's a third hour. It's a third hour of Raw.
There you go. We're doing the third hour Raw. All right, we're back live. We're back live on Amazon and DirecTV right now in 5 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody. Coach and Bro Show here on Stadium, Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube TV. Absolutely love Thursday mornings. We dominate 2 full hours here on the network. And today we're thrilled to continue the conversation with Chris McCumber, former top USA executive that worked directly with Vince McMahon, with the WWE for many, many years, and made USA the staple, the home of WWE. So, Chris, as we start to move forward, now that there's all these new relationships, Netflix new, ESPN certainly new, but it's different because it's PLE's only 12 or 13 shows, and then you got every single week. How do you balance as an executive for each one on not pushing too hard, because it's kind of 2 different things? What's kind of the mentality there?
I think the mentality is again, regular engagement. I remember when we first started working with them, someone told me, a very wise person told me, don't take the WWE for granted, meaning don't just sign the deal and have them do the show every week and then just call when you need something. Really engage with them as a partner. And they were 100% right about that. It's when you set up a regular rhythm with them and you talk about not just the creative, but you talk about what works for both businesses. And when you have those regular conversations and you build those deep relationships with them, you might not always agree, right? There may be some tough times, and there always was, right? But there was also really good times where those partnerships came to fruition, and you really found ways to work together to build your business and build WWE's business. When the two were working together, I think that made the most sense.
Hey, Chris, I want to ask you a quick question when it comes to social media numbers. Now, obviously, when you've got a network or a partner negotiating, those social media numbers come into play because we're talking about huge numbers. But how does the network look at social media numbers? Because, you know, we hear a lot about bots and we can't really tell if those numbers are real or not. So how much faith do they put in their social media numbers?
Again, I can't speak for the current negotiations that happened, but we completely dismissed all of that. To us, the social media numbers, yeah, that's fine. That means the brand is out there. You couldn't really monetize it in any real way. It really came down to what are the ratings on a week by week basis? How's it going to lift the overall boat for USA Network? And how is it going to help us in our affiliate negotiations to make sure we made the most money possible there? Because that was 60 to 70% of the revenue. The social media stuff was great for, touting numbers and putting it in decks and all that stuff. It helped. I'll say it did help when we tried to bring new advertisers into the WWE. Certainly that helped as well. But as far as negotiating the actual rights for this for Raw or SmackDown, it really didn't come into play for us.
Chris, I got to ask you this question because this makes me laugh all the time. As we kind of see, network numbers, cable numbers kind of go down and social media numbers go up, I will always hear, and I chuckle because of my relationship with you and working with Spike and USA Network and TBS. This is what we will always hear, especially from, the wrestling dirt sheets. Here's what they'll say. Ratings don't matter anymore. And I will say, bro, talk to the television executive. Chris, please, can you confirm or deny? Do television ratings matter anymore, Chris?
They absolutely matter. No doubt. I'll say that answer might be more nuanced now, though, when you look at ESPN and Netflix, because those are subscription-based services, right? And so they're looking at it from a viewpoint of what brings more people to the platform to subscribe and pay monthly, and who what's going to keep them there. And if WWE helps to do that, that's part of it. And again, you can have patience with numbers that fluctuate up and down. I think where you lose patience is where the numbers are on a longer trajectory. I think, Coach, you were talking before about the president of TNA looking at in 3-month increments or whatever. I think that's really a smart way to look at it. If you look at it week by week, you can get high, you can get low, you get high and low, whatever, right? But if you look at the longer trend, that's where you start to realize, okay, this is where we're headed. This is where we need to be. What do we need to do to fix it? Or what do we need to do in order to supercharge it?
Wow, and it's always looking at the long game, and the wrestling business is so kind of that way too, is looking at the long-term storylines. It's interesting because a few weeks ago, I don't know if you saw this, Chris, but TKO and all their shows, they have 1 million different sponsors. Mm-hmm. Well, Stephanie McMahon has a podcast, and the sponsor for that week was a VPN company. And basically VPNs are when you can make yourself sit in a different country or a different continent. They had just signed the deal with ESPN, and she's promoting a VPN, which would mean people would not have to pay the $30 a month in order to get the same shows that they want to pay $30. As a TV executive, would you have some pause if one of your partners was promoting a VPN, which is becoming kind of a new popular thing?
Yeah, I think that one specifically, I don't really know. I'm not privy to that one, but certainly if your partner is actively hurting either the rating or the show in some way, yes, you're going to have a conversation about that for sure. And I will tell you, in the past, we've had those conversations, right? We've said to the WWE, we don't love this, social media thing you're doing, whatever. I can't think of something off the top of my head, but we would have those conversations. And more often than not, if you explained your side of it, they would understand, right? If you came to them with a real reason, Vince was a good businessman, right? The people there, Nick and Paul Levesque, they're good businessmen. And I know that, if you go to them with an issue and you make your case for it, certainly they're going to listen as partners. I would hope.
Chris, what do you think about the new Nielsen system? It's been a couple of weeks now, and we've really, I've seen comparisons to wrestling and sports and, entertainment television shows. And it seems, it's only a couple of weeks. Don't get me wrong. It's just a couple of weeks, but it seems like out of everything, wrestling really seems to be taking a hit when compared to everything else. What do you think about this new system? What kind of an impact do you think it might have on the WWE?
Well, certainly, if the new system is showing that all the numbers are down, that's certainly not good, obviously. I'll take this opportunity to do a shameless plug for a man who is much, much smarter than me at this, which is his name is Ted Linhart. And you should actually book him on the show. Ted was my head of research when I was at USA Network. He is a WWE fan. He would go to WrestleMania with me every time. He's somebody that if you really want to dig into the nuances of ratings, call Ted Linhart. He's the man. Ted on TV. He's on Substack. Check it out. He's really he would be the one to talk to about that.
I guarantee you, our producers already sent him an email.
Yeah, I just talked to him last week, so I can hook you guys up.
That'd be awesome. One last question from a premium member in the chat, and then we'll let you get out of here. Final Boss Engaged says, I wonder if Chris saw any trends or patterns showing wrestling demographics were changing or headed in a new direction during your time.
That's a great question. And one of the things that we would always ask ourselves is, where are the opportunities to grow the audience? We knew we had a slightly older audience at times of men, right? But we also saw new trends of younger viewers and younger women coming into WWE. And I thought one of the smart things they did at that time was really push the female superstars, right? Taking away from divas and doing female superstars. That was really smart, because that was a way of looking at a new audience that was coming in and then how to supercharge that audience. And I think, any one of these networks that are working with the WWE right now are certainly doing the same thing, looking at where do we dial up an audience that has always been fans, but also where are the new audiences coming in, and how do we adjust the creative to get those audiences to stay.
One last quick question based on what you just answered, Chris. Now, Chris, there was an episode many years back when the coach showed his derriere on screen. Did you see a spike? Did you see a spike of younger women or younger men? Did you see a spike of younger women or younger men? Chris, do you remember that specific?
Oh yeah. It was the highest ratio. In fact, I think we called Vince and said, we need
more ass. We need more ass.
We need to be a recurring segment, and then we tried to get a sponsor to come in for it too, but I don't know, they didn't.
There you go.
Yeah. That was definitely it was a Monday night, that's for sure. I know that because I just signed my ESPN deal 3 days before.
You could not find a hemorrhoid cream partner to sponsor.
Listen, we tried. We really did.
Hey, I wasn't Vince. I wasn't as big of a star back then when that particular episode.
Coach, happened. Don't sell yourself short, my friend.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Chris, we have to run. This was amazing. Thank you for the time and educating our audience, man. This was. We asked these questions a lot, but we've been excited. So thank you for the time, sincerely.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me on, and you guys, congratulations on all your success. And love your show. Really good stuff. So keep on keeping on, all right?
Thank you, Chris. Awesome.
Thank you very much. That, of course, Chris Montgomery, TV executive there at USA, dealing with Vince. I got to be honest with you. Some of the answers that he had, Vince, is changing my thought process on several things. It really is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not going to lie. I was surprised at some of the answers, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense, because I think sometimes, especially when you're in this bubble, you think, oh, that needs to end because of this. And when you look at it from an executive standpoint, you say, listen, I've got to think about my network for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years. And if it goes a little bit like this, that's okay. And also how you deal with them. And this is when we talk about headlines. Headlines drive us nuts. We get half quoted all the time. Is when you see a headline for, oh, this is what they're like, and wrestling fans do it the most. But you just heard Chris, amazing partners. We can get them on the phone whenever. And sometimes the narrative is not always what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. But I think one difference is, and I think this is where there's a change. And we said this all the time, and you know this when you're in wrestling. It is much less expensive to produce wrestling than original programming.
No doubt.
That's why wrestling was always on television. Very inexpensive to produce. However, Coach, that is now changed with these billion-dollar contracts. So when Chris was there and that's what they were looking at, totally understandable. Like he said, the amount of money we're paying for 52 weeks of Raw, if we start an original series, you don't know if that's going to be around in 4, 5, or 6 weeks. But I think now with these billion-dollar contracts, it's a little different.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Remember, we'll do all of our Super Stickers top of the hour on the other side. What does Rock's movie opening really mean? Coach and Bro Show right here, Stadium and Bally Sports Live. All right, we'll continue on here on our YouTube channel. Get to as many super stickers
Coach,
as we can.
I think he confirmed. I think he confirmed when you wore the thong that the younger women that week went through the roof. That's what I heard. Did you hear that?
I mean, the only reason I didn't tout it at the time is I had just gotten married and had a child.
Okay, well,
so I didn't think it would go so well on the home front. Yeah. I'm divorced now, though, so I don't know if it mattered at all. So there you go. Alan says, glad you all saved me from Natty Hour on Busted. Oh, come on now. Rumor has it WBD could get bought out. What happens to AEW then? Anytime you sell, Vince, you see it with the WWE. Anything can happen.
Anything. You can't even predict that. Who knows? I wouldn't even guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either. Instagram, a wrestling history says, hello, Mr. Russo. What did you think of the Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett feud in WCW? Thanks in advance.
I thought it was great because, I mean, you've got two pros, man. You've got two pros through and through working together. I love both those guys.
Genova, you're going to be on the Wheel of Doom. Says, I'm currently, by the way, $10 or more, you get a chance at a free piece of merchandise if you guys so choose. I'm currently watching the build to WrestleMania 14. Vince, you were truly cooking during that Mania season. What was it like working with Tyson, Austin, Michaels during that time?
Man, just cooking on all four burners, man. Everything was working. Everybody was involved. Everybody was happy. It was a great time. It really was.
Finally, Roland, also on the Wheel of Doom, says, I asked Coach Vince about this, and they said Netflix, WWE won't touch the issue. But if an Elon Musk told viewers to unsubscribe, why wouldn't Netflix and WWE discuss improvements to keep those viewers? They probably would, Roland, and they probably are. They're just not going to tell you. I think fans in wrestling, Vince, feel like they should be privy to everything.
Yeah.
You know, accessibility is a big thing, and it's also a big thing when you think of a star. Like when Rock became a star, he was not accessible. That's part of being a star.
Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes I feel like I'm way too accessible, Vince, for my fans. Do you feel the same way?
No, I mean, Coach, you are. I mean, seriously. But it's tough with social media, though. It's got to be a balance.
It really is. We're back live in 5 seconds. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Coach and Bro Show here on Stadium Bally Sports Live every single Thursday. We also have a second episode every week on Mondays on YouTube and social media at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I, of course, am the coach. Great to have Chris McCumber. One more big thank you to him, former top executive at the USA Network, who dealt directly with the WWE. Now, Vince, this past weekend, usually critically acclaimed means it doesn't make so much money. Most Oscar-winning films weren't commercial successes. So the Rock's Smashing Machine movie, which people are talking about him as with an Oscar, best he's ever had. He gave up millions of dollars to his co-host and Mark Kerr, who was the reason for the film. So he did a lot of good things. But Vince, it only made $6 million the first weekend. I have my thoughts on why such a low opening. Why do you think it only made $6 million? It cost $50 to make.
Well, yeah, Coach. Again, I would have to believe Rock's core audience is wrestling. Mm-hmm. Granted, he's got millions and millions and millions of fans through his movies, but it was all built on wrestling. And, you know, I really believe, Coach, we may look at this as like a little blurb and maybe it's not important. I think what went down at WrestleMania and that whole fiasco, I think that was, and there's a lot of other things. I mean, there's, you know, getting involved in politics. There's the stuff he did with Oprah. There's a lot of political stuff in there too. But I think a lot of the wrestling fans hold responsible what happened at WrestleMania, what happened at Cena, what happened with this run. I think they hold that against The Rock. Like The Rock just decided to bail out and The Rock pulled out and left the WWE holding the bag when none of us know what the real story is. But I think when it came to the wrestling audience, I think they were anti-Rock going into this movie.
I would take it a step further. I would say not only do they hold it against The Rock, I think they blame The Rock. I think they look at him and say, listen, every time you've come back to us, to home, whether it's years ago, 2 straight main events at WrestleMania with John Cena, and the narrative that sometimes maybe people don't talk about it backstage when he comes back and takes a main event payday from somebody else. And I think over the years, it's all been good until this year. And what he did by showing up and doing the throat slash and all of that, we were excited. We were all excited about talking about it and the ride that Vince, you and I were going to get to go on. And then when they yanked it from us, and then people also are spending all of this money to see the show. Remember what the fans looked like that night? They're all looking back at the entrance. None of them were watching the match.
Yep.
And to not even acknowledge it, I think was a calculated mistake by a man who I respect probably more than anybody in this business. And everything he does is a calculated decision. Vince, this happened 23 years ago when he left cold turkey. I remember saying to myself, he should still show up for Monday Night Raw. Say there's 5 million wrestling fans. What's a ticket? $10 to a movie? You're starting with $50 million if half of them go see your movie.
Yeah. Unless, again, Coach, I don't think we will ever know what happened. Maybe we'll get glimpses of it through the unscripted and we'll be able to figure it out. But you and I know how intelligent this dude is. And you and I know he calculates everything. Man, bro, that's why I just have the feeling that was he really pissed off to the point of just saying F them? Because that's what it felt like. That's literally what it
still
felt
does. Like. It still does.
Yeah.
To me, it does. And sometimes when you're talking about guys at this level, Vince, because we're not talking about guys that are at our level or fans' level. This is mega million legacy type stuff.
Yes.
And for him to say, I'm not, and don't tell me running a commercial one time in Raw is really promoting the film, right? They could have done it where they blew it out, where Rock could do a sit down on Raw or on SmackDown or on ESPN if they wanted to, where he really, now he did the press junkets and he got the standing ovation, but Vince, they really didn't promote the movie through WWE, like fully, right? And that was surprising to me. And there's more and more stuff that is happening. But at the end of the day, Vince, what hurts him and what suffers with him is the movie and is the numbers. And at the end of the day, right now, that's important for him because he's at a crossroads, in my opinion, in his movie career, in his professional career. Do you think that's accurate? Fair?
I think it's 1,000% accurate, but luckily for him, he's at a crossroads, Coach, with how many millions of dollars in the bank?
A lot.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, do we have to take a break? Because I want to hit on one more thing.
We've got about 3 minutes left in the show.
I want to hit on something Chris said that I think is very, very important.
Okay.
Because this is what they don't do. Chris said that highlights appearing on social media immediately could be a positive or a negative. A negative meaning if there is a big Raw moment and they play it on YouTube, then they watch it on YouTube. That gets them to watch the show on the network. That's what Chris was saying. But here's the problem, Coach. We've seen time and time again. They got the big moment. They put the big moment up on YouTube. And then they don't follow up on it. So perfect example, Brock Lesnar returns. It's all over YouTube. Oh my God, let's tune in Monday to see what Brock Lesnar has to say. We tune in on Monday and Brock Lesnar is not on the show. So what Chris is saying is dead on, but when they don't follow up with those clips, they're not going to draw those viewers to the show.
And at least for half of the shows that they do, it's now different than when Chris was at USA Network because you're asking people to go to a paywall, and the thought process that it'll lead them right back to the show. Yes, until some of those people come right back to the show and go, $15, Oh, $20.
Great point.
And they get into these, not a rut, but a habit. And Vince, eventually, if you get into a habit where you say, I'm good with clips, I'm good with just waiting to watch 7 or 8 things every single week, that becomes something everybody could do down the road.
Mhm.
And we're already starting to see it because numbers are falling off, but yet the social media engagement is super high. And I think that's kind of the crossroads we're at right now. And I know that, Vince, these numbers matter.
Yeah.
And streaming matter. I mean, they're making so much money off their YouTube and social media. I don't think WWE wants to stop that.
Right.
But if you're ESPN and Netflix, they're figuring out, how do we make this money too?
Yeah, and like I said, Coach, especially with the new Nielsen numbers, and now we're toying with under 1 million. I never thought that was a possibility.
It's definitely, when you hear lowest ever, and SmackDown's been around. I was there for the very first SmackDown, Kemper Arena, August 24th. Vince McMahon's birthday, by the way, 1999. So Vince, 26 years, lowest ever.
Coach, during the Monday Night Wars, 10 million people were watching wrestling on Monday nights combined with the two. 10 million. We're down to 1 million.
I wonder what the real number is, though. If you're counting in people that go and watch extensive clips, like watch a lot, what would that number be? 2, 3 million, 4 million? And people say, well, worldwide, those numbers aren't great either, because Netflix is in 85% of the world right now. And they get SmackDown on Netflix outside of the United States.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Thank you, brother, for getting Chris on today. For those of you watching on YouTube, we will continue on at the top of the hour. If you're not part of the Wheel of Doom, but real quick, 30 seconds, Vince, how have you enjoyed the Major League Baseball playoffs thus far?
Oh, man, the Yankees, we're going to see heads roll. Like, forget Aaron Boone, he's done. But we are going to see a major overhaul. In New York, man, that is not going to fly.
Oh, radio shows today. Oh, they're going to be popping off. Not mine. Mine's from 2 to 4 Eastern time. You guys can watch it all the time on Sirius XM, channel 156. I'm talking about the sports shows. They're going to lose their minds. All right, what a great show. Thank you to Chris McCumber for coming by. If you missed any of it, you can always catch us on demand at our BTT YouTube page. In the meantime, that's going to do it for us here on Stadium and Bally Sports Live. From my man, Vince Russo from russosbrand.com, our incredible producer behind the scenes. I am simply the coach. We will be back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to break down everything that happened in Perth, Australia, and on Monday Night Raw. Until then, this has been the Coach and Bro Show. Have a great day. All right, we continue on here on our YouTube channel, and keep those super stickers coming in. If you have a question, a comment, remember, $10 or more, you get on the Wheel of Doom at the end of the show. Vince, real quick, I just realized that because they're doing Raw in Australia on Monday, it might be over before we even do our show live on Monday.
Yeah, isn't it like 8 in the morning? Like,
so Crown Jewel's 8 in the morning Saturday.
Yeah.
Which means that Raw's going to be the same thing.
It is. I think they were advertising it for that time this past Monday, and I'm like, who's watching Raw at 8 in the morning?
It's crazy. I just confirmed it with producer man. 8 a.m. It's one of the issues I have when I work at the PFL. We had a fight in Dubai a week and a half ago, and it was at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on a Friday.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but we get paid to do a show there, so you got to take the show there. But to me, I don't like the out of the country shows, like the big ones.
Yeah,
people here can't see it.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
You're not going to stop it, I guess. All right, our first super sticker we haven't got to yet. Hey, guys, has Vince seen Hogan versus Rock yet? If not, that'd be a great live show to have.
Yeah, Coach, I've never seen that show. I've never seen that match.
You've never seen that match?
I've never seen that match.
Is there a reason you never went and watched it?
Well, I can't give the reason, Coach, because I'll get in trouble and won't be able to work other places. But
okay.
Yeah, no, no. Coach, I just have no interest. People tell me all the time that I should go back and watch it, and I will at one point watch it. I just have not watched it.
Well, I won't say a big part of it. I was a part of it. I did a really funny skit with The Rock right before he went out for this match, so I'm attached to it. I will tell you, it is one of the 4 times in my career that I went out onto the floor to watch something. Because normally when you go out, you know how it is. Everybody's yelling at you, they see you, and it takes away from people watching the show. But that night, Vince, I said, I got to go out and watch this. And it was the first 10 minutes, the most amazing 10 minutes I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I need to put that on my must do list. I will watch that. I will.
Maybe we should do a live watch along.
I'd be happy to do that because it'll be my first impression, Coach. I'd be happy to do that with you.
All right, you know what? Let's plan that. Let's do premium members only, and we're going to do a live watch along WrestleMania 18. And if we like it, Vince, maybe it's something we do all the time. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I'll be and I'm not going to watch it until I see it for the first time with you.
Okay. All right, producer man, get on that. We're going to do a first live watch along with Vince Russo. I think this will be fun. This may open up another area for us, Vince.
Absolutely,
it really might.
I would love to watch some of your matches for the first time. I would love that, Coach.
Well, I had a lot of wins. I had a lot of dubs. I had a lot of L's as well.
I would, man. If you and I watch one of your matches for the first time, I would pop all over the place. I wouldn't stop popping for you.
I don't even know how my ego would take that. By the way, I need to play you something, and I need to play the audience something, because Vince, I think sometimes you don't realize how you affect certain people.
Oh boy!
And we have somebody who works here at the brand.
Oh boy!
And I think just trying to find his way, and so we have brought him on to the Coach and Bro side to learn how to produce, make shorts and reels and stuff like that. But I think, Vince, that Mikey P, I don't even know do you know Mikey P?
Yeah, we spoke for a little bit before you and producer man came on. We were talking a little.
Okay, great. So Mikey P likes to get into character, and you've inspired him to do, well, producer man, just roll the tape, please.
Oh boy.
Oh, of course it's frozen. Technology is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. We'll get to it in a second. It is, it's disturbing, Vince. It is, I'd say embarrassing would be another word that we would use for it. I'm all about characters. Also, I want to get your reaction from not only the content, Vince, but the product that is in, I wasn't even aware is for sale. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm confusing you now, but once you see the video, you will truly understand what I'm talking about. So while they're working on it, just send me a text when it's ready, producer man, and we'll move on to something else. Vince, and again, we'll stay on till super stickers and we'll do the Wheel of Doom. So if you have any more, go ahead and send those in. We were, ending the show kind of with the Rock situation. And for the next couple of months, I've been talking a lot about the Cena retirement tour and the Rock. Where would you rate how they executed now that we're down to, what's today, the 9th? No, today's the 9th. We're 2 months, in 4 days, we're 2 months away from the end of John Cena's career.
Yeah, man.
Do you think he's really happy with it right now?
Yeah, Coach, and I don't want to bury anybody. I really, really don't. I feel very bad for John Cena because, like I said, and listen, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt as I always do. His whole run should have been plotted out, and maybe it was with the heel turn and whatnot, but then they got a monkey wrench. That happens all the time, Coach, all the time. You know that. I know that all the time. Okay, we get the monkey wrench. Now we got to go to plan B. Now we need to change everything. We still got 3 months, 4 months left. What's that going to look like? They didn't do that. This guy deserves that. This should have been an ongoing story week to week to week with somebody or multiple people. At the end of the day, I feel sorry for the talent because even though I never worked with this dude, I just think he deserved a lot better than this.
I extensively worked with this human being. I traveled with this human being. There's nobody, Vince, that deserves it more than I watched this man literally every minute of his day. If he got asked by, Sue, who was the head of the Make-A-Wish at WWE and all that kind of stuff. Yes, 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 yes. And this is where the lack of long-term relationships from TKO to the talent. You can't tell me that Cena and Ari Emanuel talk all the time, or they understand what he means to this company,
Right?
And it means to this business. And like the other night, I'm watching Raw, and Joe Tessitore said to me, and this one I was like, "Oh, we're unfrozen." Okay, all right. I'll put a pin in what I was saying. Producer man, I think it's ready. Roll tape.
So as the newest member to Coach and Bro, I thought to myself, you're working with legends. The coach, Vince Russo, producer man's a legend in his own right. I've got to become a legend. How can I become a legend myself? How can I get Vince Russo and the coach to really embrace Mikey P on the channel? So I started thinking about it. And then I would eat and sleep and repeat. But then that eat, sleep, repeat turned into eat, sleep, yeet. Eat, sleep, eat. That's what the legends would want me to do. So what did I do? I went to the store and I did the only thing a legend would do to change their diet and the best way to start your day. Nothing better than a box of Frosted Yeets with a word search on the back. They're going to help you get smarter and healthier and a little more legendary. So I had to do it. Vince Russo, I know you are a yeeter. Coach, I know you're probably sick to your stomach right now. But how about some Frosted Yeets? Listen, I'm going to pour this for you guys. I do have milk, don't worry. I just want you guys to see I am committed to the brand. I am committed to being a legend like the coach and Vince Russo. And producer man, I want to be like you guys. 4 letters, 1 breakfast. Yeet. Oh, and by the way, oos, we're pretty damn good.
Actually, 6 letters. Let me correct Mikey P. Actually, 6 letters, Mike, and this would be those 6 letters.
No yeet. No yeet. No yeet. No yeet. No yeet.
Yes, no yeet, Mikey P. No yeet.
There was no way that I was going to be the only person who had to sit through that right there. It came through. I'm super busy yesterday. I was like, maybe Mikey P. We're trying to teach him.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen,
what happened there?
Coach, let's just take the wind right out of those sails. No yeet for you, Mikey P. No yeet. And you even owe the coach and I money for watching that.
Next time, only via super sticker. Make Mikey send it in with a super.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, I'll give him a B for effort, or a C for effort.
No yeet.
All right. I think we've got to all of our super stickers. We'll give you a couple more minutes. Anything else, Vince? Oh, I know what. So we'll give people like 2 or 3 more minutes, and then we're going to get the hell out of Dodge. We are now, it's not even 48 hours. We're less than 48 hours away from the crown jewel. Do you think because they're going to have Raw there? Because I was like, man, I can see it right now. The 8 people that are performing on the show, that's all that's going to go over there. But now with Raw being there, they're forced to fly a bunch of talent. Do you think they're going to let cost of ticket circumvent the actual creative on the show? If that makes sense to you?
What exactly?
All right, so you know how we talk about all the time, the money's already in the bank.
Yeah.
Whatever they don't spend, they keep.
Yeah.
Well, these tickets are several $1,000s to go over to Australia. My question is, if they aren't don't have a talent on Crown Jewel, how many are they flying over there for Raw to be on the show?
Wow, the minimum amount. I mean, because that is an expensive check too, to fly people over there, put those people up. That's going to be quite a bit of money.
I agree.
Hey,
I hope they don't, but I could see it happening.
yeah. Hey, Coach, I feel bad with the Mikey P thing. Can I give him some advice?
I think he needs it.
I'm going to listen, bro. I'm going to play for you a promo. This is Mikey. This is what you need to strive for. When you hit this level, you and I will talk. I want you to practice, get in front of the mirror while you're driving your car. When you can deliver a promo like this, you and I will speak. Are you ready, Coach?
I'm ready. Yes.
Here we go.
This is what we envisioned in January, okay?
Yes, sir.
It's happening here in September. Gonna go on forever.
Okay. Hey, Coach, do you know what dawned on me real quick? Because I know we both got to go. Bro, you guys got to think about this, how awesome this would be, especially Coach, because he's a sports guy, an NFL guy. Bro, the Jaguars are 4-1.
They just beat my team, by the way.
I know they did. Coach, I don't think people are understanding.
What?
The Jaguars win the Super Bowl. Tony and Shad are on the podium. They're on the podium accepting the trophy, hugging Goodell. Can you imagine Tony?
I can.
Oh,
I would love it. Would love it.
Listen, I don't want to root against your Chiefs, but can you imagine those guys on the podium?
Yes. And if they don't use that opportunity to promote AEW, lost chance. I would love it. I want to make this an AEW zone.
Yes.
People are like, Coach, do you really hate WWE? No, I don't hate WWE. I don't like a lot of the things they're doing to fans. It's about fans.
Right.
Tony's about the fans. So I want this to be an AEW zone.
Yes.
Bring everybody here.
Yeah.
Because from all we know, and Vince, you say this all the time, you don't hate Tony Khan. You respect Tony Khan.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Shad and Tony Khan on the podium.
God,
that's the ultimate cross promotion. The ultimate in cross promotion.
Oh, can you? Absolutely. Yeah, and bro, I'm asking you a serious question now.
Okay.
If he's on that podium after the Super Bowl, the confetti, the players on the field, is he plugging AEW?
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I would. I'd be like, from the Jags to AEW, to Daly's Place to the field.
Yes.
No matter where, that's what I would do. Where we go.
Oh, gosh.
I'd be in promo mode from the jump.
Oh,
1,000%.
Yes.
We'll see.
Yes.
We'll see.
Yes.
A couple more super stickers. Roland said perhaps another crossroads for The Rock is figuring out whether or not performing for WWE helps or hurts his Hollywood career. What do you think? I've thought about this a lot, Vince. And to me, I've always said this, that either he's in or he's out. The problem with what happened in his movie career, he listened to his agents early on. They told him he had to drop a bunch of weight because he was so big. This is 20-some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the movie The Rundown with Seann William Scott from American Pie? He was so tiny, they wanted Rock to shrink. And so he tried, and then he had to spend 2 hours a day covering up the tattoo that he got. And he was like, I just think some of the decisions, right or wrong, Vince, is Hollywood's a different animal.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's been calculated correctly some of the time.
That's a great perspective, Coach. Absolutely. Two totally different businesses, and he's given two totally different directions. And keep this in mind, he knew wrestling. He knew wrestling from his bloodlines. He grew up in wrestling. He knew what to do. When he's setting foot in Hollywood, this is a whole new ball game for him.
It's easy for me to say this because I'm not him, but when I see the massive audience that the WWE has, Vince, if I only have this window and it's 10 years, then I'm going as hard as I can for 10 years, and that means being on the show and filming my movies at the same time.
Yeah.
Hey, you could put a video in from your movie set. You could make a whole storyline, couldn't you? Of, hey, I'm here, but I'm still pulling the puppet strings just to stay relevant on the show. You could get creative and do that if you wanted to.
But Coach, do we know for a fact that Vince McMahon didn't give him an ultimatum of either or?
No, but I know he decided to walk away because of his agents. So no, I
Well,
think Vince would have been very happy to have him on the show.
To go both ways.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been saying that for 20-something. I've said it to him.
Yeah.
Back then, because we'd sit around and talk about our, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You're talking about your pre-tapes and you have time to kill. And I'd be like, and I asked him, why aren't you doing this? Well, and then it came out that his agents, and back then Rock had to do what his agents told him to do because he was a newbie
Absolutely.
in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
I mean, he didn't have any cachet.
Yeah.
And eventually he did get it, but it's hard to navigate. I don't envy him, but man, I feel like I would embrace the wrestling audience instead of not embrace them.
But I got to tell you too, man, for Rock, and here's me giving Rock advice. Listen, man, if you gave out a knockout performance in that movie, that's all you could do. Mm-hmm. That's all you could do. Whatever else happens. However many people go see it. If you know that you gave the best performance you possibly could, bro, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And that's what he said on Instagram. He's like, listen, I did this one. He also reportedly, Vince, he normally gets $20 million plus the back end. He only took $4 million for this movie, and he gave a lot of it away to Emily Blunt, his co-host, and also Mark Kerr, who is the subject of the film.
Yeah.
So for him, he essentially did it for nothing.
Yeah.
If a couple $1 million is nothing.
Yeah.
So he's a good dude at his core.
Yes.
Trav FDY, if we're gonna watch a coach match together, let's watch Coach and JR the strap match. That one hurt my heart because I had to whip JR with a belt several times. And if anybody thinks that belt was fake, I would encourage you to meet me at a gym sometime, and I'll be happy to show you how Vince, of course, I took a bunch of shots too, but he didn't hit as hard as I hit him.
Yeah, well, on top of that, Coach, that's pretty hard to work. If you're working a strap, it is going to look like crap. So that's very, very hard to work.
Yeah. It's that the JR stuff to this day, I still am not super comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I didn't like, and he was okay, but he's had health issues, and people all along, the narratives that I hate are when people write stuff about you that is completely untrue, and it's always like Coach hates JR hates Coach because he thought Coach was going to take his gig. He was the greatest voice of all time. I was completely different than him.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Oh,
yeah.
I
hated
that narrative. I really, really do.
Yeah.
Hitesh says, what should Rock do to find the answer to adapt to Hollywood in the 50s? In late 2000s, he said he considered UFC, so he's been here before. Vince, he's had a lot of interviews lately where he talked about some severe depression 3 or 4 years ago. The weight loss was due to digestive issues. So even the big stars go through health issues, and I think that's kind of maybe what's been going on lately.
Yeah, again, I mentioned this before, but listen, here's the good thing about The Rock. Guys, obviously this dude doesn't have to worry about money. So you know what? Do what makes you happy. Rock may want to do more challenging roles that are not going to be box office successes to challenge his acting chops. If that's what you want to do it. When you've got Rock money, you can do what you want to do. Do whatever it is that's going to make you happy, do it.
I agree 1,000%. I hope that he doesn't let social media and all this nonsense, but he's done a pretty good job this year. Because if he didn't, I probably, if I was him, there would have been a couple of nights that if I'm having a pop or an edible or something, and all of a sudden I read that on social media and I'm getting the happy fingers. He hasn't done that.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that.
Yeah.
All right, we've got all the super stickers, which means, Vince, it's Thursday. We only have one more thing to get to.
Let's do it. Yes.
All right, there it is. The Wheel of Doom. Who will be the I'll pay $30 to watch. Okay. All right. The person who wins this will get a Mamby Pamby t-shirt.
Yes.
There will be an email on the bottom of the screen. Email producer man, give him all your information, and we'll get this sent out to you ASAP. So, Vince, are you ready?
Let's do it. Roll it, producer man.
Roll it. Oh, this is very, very exciting. Mamby Pamby.
Snake eyes.
Mamby Pamby. Oh, Genova. Thank you for the support. Thank you
Very
for
nice.
the super sticker of at least $10 or more. If you want to be a part of it next week, and I have some plans for the holidays. I want to really do some cool things for our fans and our followers at the holidays. So, Mamby Pamby, we have an I Bet Wrestling shirt. There's a lot of different things over there at our merch store, so check that out. We always put the link everywhere. Vince, any final takes before Crown Jewel on Saturday?
Well, no, my final take is, man, I really want to thank Chris for coming on the show. I thought that was awesome on him. Guys, he's very, very, very high profile, man. He's been doing this forever. We finally got some really good answers to a lot of our questions, and I want to thank him for coming on the show. Producer man for setting all that up. Thank you, guys.
It's awesome. And thank you for getting him. Real quick, if we can throw that Allen up there one more time. We didn't address it. He said he'd pay $30 to watch Vince watching Rocky Hogan. We've got to do it. We've got to. We've been kind of talking about how we expand without doing more shows. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe
Definitely.
this is it. Yep. You know, I still have visions, Vince, of someday taking this show on the road. I really want to do that.
That would be
really
a
want
blast,
to do that.
man. Yes.
Oh, God, I hope so. All right, that's going to do it for now. Guys, don't forget 2 to 4 Eastern time this afternoon, Off the Ropes with the Coach, Sirius XM. And Vince, tell the people, we haven't done this in a while, where they can find all of your stuff at your pages.
Yeah, guys, right now, if you've never been a Russo brand member, I'm giving you a free week to try us out. It will cost you nothing. After that, if you want to join, it's only $3 a month. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
Boom and boom. All right, that's going to do. We got to get the hell out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching today or finding us on demand every week. The show is growing, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. For my man, Vince Russo, from russosbrand.com, for Double D, for Producer Man, I am the Coach. We'll see you next time right here on the Coach and Bro Show. Take care.